Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for hosting this really beautiful and empowering event. I am here as a person with long COVID, as a patient researcher, as an advocate for people with long COVID, people with ME, and all disabled people. Between 10 to 30% of people who get COVID develop long COVID. Worldwide, that's a minimum of 51 million people experiencing prolonged symptoms after a COVID infection. And we know that a large number of people with long COVID have ME. In our study as Patient-Led Research Collaborative, 89% of our respondents with long COVID experienced the cardinal symptom of ME, post-exertional malaise. And other studies have shown that nearly half of their participants with long COVID met the diagnostic criteria for ME. That could mean that worldwide, there's now an additional 25 million people with ME compared to before COVID, which at least doubles prevalence from 2 years ago. And because ME has been historically underfunded, disbelieved, and stigmatized with a severe lack of medical education, our society is in a crisis of epic proportions. The only reason that we have made any progress with long COVID that we have is because of the dedication, activism, and love from the ME community, all of the folks on this call today. On a personal level, my long COVID is only where it's at today because I learned to pace from things like that, the video that was just shared. But the previous government and societal inaction already had severe consequences, and now those are being amplified and laid bare. As we respond to this crisis, we must center those most impacted, particularly those who have been impacted for decades, and to build off the research that has already been done. We cannot afford to continue to reinvent the wheel and perpetuate harms to patients, especially when those harms are most often done to the most marginalized and neglected in our society, those without regular access to healthcare, low-income people, Black and Brown communities, transgender and queer people. And as we address the crisis, as we mobilize our communities, we must do so together. As a long COVID community, as an ME community, as a disabled community, we must depend on each other because we are stronger together and we succeed together. And our collective liberation is dependent on not leaving anyone behind. As a patient researcher and an advocate, I commit to fighting for policies and research that will improve outcomes for the most vulnerable among us. I am so grateful for each of you. I am humbled to be in community with you. Thank you so much.